Roadies. It's a lovely day. G is off getting the oil changed in Penny the van, and I decided to stay here so I could get a little stitching done. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I'm amazed at how many of you are taking time to spend some time with me, and I love it. I love it. It's not only helps me with my homesickness, because I do have that. I love traveling. I do love traveling, and I come from a very nomadic family, so I'm used to this lifestyle. But at the same time, I think when you grow up with that, you really do cherish those home moments and those people that love you no matter all of your foibles and faults. And so I do get homesick sometimes, and this really does help. And I know for some of you that are watchers of Floss Tubes, you're not only watching to learn something, but you're making a connection, a friendship, and I see that daily in the comments because I get connected to all the people who are watching as they leave comments and likes. I feel like I'm building a group of friends on the road, and it really does it really does cement that safe feeling in my heart that no matter where I go, there I am. So thank you so much. I thought today what I was going to do was go over a few of the projects that I'm working on and tell you where I'm at and what I'm doing, and then I was going to just stitch with you. So I'm just going to cover this little chart up. I have my headphones and my phone, which I listen to other Floss Tube channels and see what they're up to, and it is I know you guys feel the exact same way. It's like you're watching Floss Tube. It takes you forever to get through like a 45-minute Floss Tube because you're constantly pausing it and going to the internet and looking for a chart or looking for a site that someone has recommended. And oh gosh. And when you're on the road, you really do have to be careful where you're mailing to. As my younger son tells me on a regular basis, first world problems, Mom, first world problems. He's a wise kid. And so here I am complaining that I don't know what mailbox to send it to, but it's an issue for me because I have my mail forwarded. I have some mail forwarded from Sisters to here as a home base, and here's the issue. Is this like crazy making? It's crazy making because if I order something online and I put this address, I have to pay tax. But if I put the sister's address, I don't, because we don't have sales tax in Oregon. But then I'm paying to have Wes, who handles the mail for me, to forward it to here. Yeah, it's like a mad comedy of some sort. So I have to decide. I've been holding off, and because from here, as soon as we get that ban settled, we are on the road, then I don't want to have anything sent here because I might not be here for a while. So I don't, yeah, that's my first world problem. It's a ridiculous, ridiculous problem brought on by the fact that I need to stop ordering things. But then I would have to stop watching Floss Tube, and then I would miss everyone. So I could barely get through Stitch All the Things, Christine. I could barely get through hers because I was stopping it and going to different sites. And I know there's a package on the way. I just know there's a package on the way. And I received so loveliness from home. Marion the librarian sent me snippets. Now, if you've never seen her snippets, she's on Etsy as Caddy Cross Stitches, and her snippets are so sweet, and there are two sizes. There's two sizes. This is the larger size, and it has kind of this soft, it's like a cottony feel to it, and then she embeds a magnet right there so that you don't lose your needle and you don't lose your scissors, because scissors stick to it also. See? And then your thread is there. Well, what I didn't realize until I got the package from her that had 3 more little snippities in it, one large one and 2 small ones, 2 smaller size ones, is that it's great to have one for each project bag, because then you don't even have to put this thread away. The thread sticks to this fuzzy part, so you can put this whole thing in the project bag and it comes out the next time. And of course, it's awesome to have your snippety somewhat in the theme of your project bag. So hence my project bag from Harvest Moon by the Lake, Leanne, which is the bees, which is my project bag for my sleeping bee Sal that I'm doing, hopefully with Bendy Stitches, but I am not sure how her schedule is going these days. I have a snippety that has bees on it. So it's kind of like a fun thing, and I just love that, Marion. Thank you so much. And then I have a bee needle minder. But what I didn't think about when I left Sisters was that I left behind all my needle minders. So I actually am waiting for a order to come with needle minders, because I only have 2 needle minders for all these projects. It's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy thing. Yeah. My sleeping bee Sal, the sleeping bee Sal, is on 40 count, and let me tell you, it's on 40 count Lakeside Linen Pecan Butter. I love the color of this, and I'm barely getting started. I can't do a whole lot. It has to be during the daytime, 40 count for me, and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And this is the thing. I started in the middle. That's amazing. That is amazing that I started in the middle. And I made a working copy, and I'm using my orange highlighter. So that is that project. So I took a few stitches this morning on that one. I started worrying a little, and that's what I love nut pod creamer, which is a plant-based creamer, in my coffee. I started worrying on this project when I was learning on a floss tube, and it's mostly the people that were doing HAIDs, of which, oh, that is calling me. It's so calling me. And I remember Christy, who sat at my table at the fall fling that Acorns and Threads put on, was working on it, I believe, a HAID that was like, blew your mind, just blew your mind. But the people that do the HAIDs, they work in a very systematic way, and because they don't want this line to show up, and so this particular pattern, this was my birthday start, is I'll show you. So just so you see, half the pattern is on one page. Half the pattern's on, and then on the other page it overlaps like two lines. I know all of you professional cross stitchers know what I mean. So I couldn't figure out in my little pea brain how to do it. So I started doing 1/2 of the project, like one page. I'm working on one page. Oh, see, there's a sweet little snippety by Catty Cross Stitches with the thread. So this is, oh, it's like this. Duh. It's really bad when you don't know which is up on your project. But this is one page, and the line is right here. But as I was reading Floss Tube, I got a feeling that people don't like that line, because then that line shows up as a line in your project because of the way the thread lays. I'm not totally grasping it, but it freaked me out enough that I thought I better stop at this point. And so what I did is I made a working copy of the whole project. And I'm going to start moving this way rather than finish one whole half and then go to the other half. You get what, do you get what I mean? Or am I talking newbie gibberish? So I was quite happy to be able to make a working copy. And that was the other thing I learned. I had no clue what working copy meant till I started watching Floss Tube, and I went, oh, you mean you don't have to recount a line from beginning to end all over again? You can kind of see where you're at. Oh, yeah. This little project bag was made by a friend back in Bend, and I have my little snippety by Catty Cross Stitches in here, and this is the Heartstring Samplery. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you know that this is a project I am working on, and I was doing a daily post, and now with the starts of all the new sals, I'm okay relaxing with that a little bit, but I'm going to keep working on it because it's gorgeous. And it's the Motto Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. And so there I am. I have officially turned the corner. And this is a Delicious Threads needle minder. I thought it was so cute. And I am going to be putting the cool Stitcher motto that Jolynn at Acorns and Threads charted up, and then Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery converted into some fancy font. And I am planning on having that done before we end up back in Sisters, so I can have it. I think I'm going to have it framed and put into the room, the TV room, where I cross stitch. January 1st start is the little Korean people who I thought were giants. They were giants. And I am hoping, you know, I have high hopes. Oh, that brings a song to mind. See, this is the problem. I get distracted so easily. High hopes, I have high hopes. You can't believe I actually sang in a play 8 songs by a Grammy Award-winning composer. That's a whole nother life and story. But I'll try anything once. You know what I mean. Like I said in the last video, confetti heavy. They weren't as big. They aren't as tall as me. But they are confetti heavy. So I am having to figure out how to process this project. And I put the second red in the dress. Yes, the dress has a gazillion colors. Very, very, I don't know if you can really see the dress, but there must be at least 10 plus colors in the dress. And so I have, on the very first little girl, got the second color in the dress. So I am going to be slowly plugging that away. But once I think once I get one done, I'm going to get excited, and then I'm going to be moving on. But I also thought, see, I want to readjust the pattern, but I don't want to feel like a cheater. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do. There are eight little people. I don't know why I have to do 8. I could do 1. That wouldn't be a very good birthday present, would it? Yeah, so that is where that project is at. You can see why my motto sampler kind of slowed down, because I have all these other projects going on. And so now on to the Owl Forestry Emerald City Sal, which is the Wizard of Oz Sal, and this is a free download. And I have my snippety that matches, you know, that's the Wizard of Oz. So on this particular project, here's where I'm at with this. I got the tornado done and the house, but I realized that these are all the called for DMCs. And I decided I wanted to jazz it up a little. When I got done with the tornado, I loved it. I loved stitching that tornado, but I thought it needed something else. So I'm actually going to go to the stitch shop today and try to find a little sparkle darker gray, and then just do like an outline stitch to give it that swirl look. So I'm going to do that. And then what I learned when I watched Coffee Stitcher do this is that in the Russian book, if I remember correctly, the Russian book of the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's shoes were silver. There's no way, no way. My shoes are gonna be ruby red. And so I'm going to pick up some fun sparkly thread. I'm thinking like a Kreinik or something like that. I can't even believe I know that word, Kreinik. But her little shoes and the Wicked Witch of the West, is it the West or the East, that is under the house, their shoes have to be red. So there's no way I'm doing silver shoes for that. And so now we're on to this stitch. Stitch with me. Stitch with me. And now you get to see. Now you get to, okay, I will totally understand if this is the last time you watch me. Because this project is the one that really has shown where the empty spaces are in my head. I am kind of cheap when it comes to linen, I have found out. And so when I started the project, if you followed me on Instagram on the start date, I started the project with Santa, right? Yeah. But if you'll notice, and I started to panic because, and I actually sent screenshots on a text message to my friend Robin and said, Houston, we have a problem. She's not in Houston, but you know what I'm talking about. Because from this little snowflake here, I have barely 1.5 inches. And there's another couple of snowflake motifs and the moon that are even higher than this snowflake. And so when she, through my text, counted the stitches that I had left and how many stitches I had to do that were higher than the Santa, she said, you gave yourself 1/4 inch. And because I don't know how I'm going to finish this, whether I frame it or what I'm going to do, 1/4 inch is not enough. It's kind of like trying to fit your body, trying to fit this body into a size 8 jeans. You know, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's going to explode out the top. The rolls are going to be up here. You know what I'm talking about. There's no way. There's no way. So I had to start over. I couldn't bring myself to spend time frogging this out yet. I'm going to frog it out, but I couldn't. So then what I did was I flipped it over and I started at the other end. Are you guys squealing at me? Oh my gosh. So this moon is the highest point on this chart. So now I have a good 2 inches, not 1/4 inch, to figure out what I'm going to do. And just so you don't think I'm a total toneless, brainless cross-stitcher, I had a moment of genius, because when I was stitching this moon, I thought, this lead reindeer had to be Rudolph. Yeah, there's no reason for him to be some other reindeer. And so I gave that reindeer a little red nose. Yeah, and all I did to do that was I took a single strand of red floss and I went over one, crossed over one twice so that it made it a little bit, you know, a little bit bigger. So I got my threads there, catty cross stitches, and so now we are at the stitch with me portions. So I am going to stitch and chat. What I did was I outlined, and with this I only need the magnifier every so often, but I outlined this so I wouldn't have to count. I am just filling in. I am very, thank you for hanging in with this update, and know that you can leave now because I'm just gonna jabber and stitch at this point. So I am gonna fill in this moon. I kind of got a kick out of some of the people who were on quilt roadies, because I did a similar thing, and they there were a few that said they couldn't stitch and talk. I can stitch and talk. Of course, we don't know how accurate my stitching will be, and I try not to look through the magnifier so I won't know, because then, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah. There's a shop in Tucson. It's not just a cross-stitch shop. It's actually a lovely little shop that is totally run by volunteers. It's a retail shop totally run by volunteers called The West, and it has needlepoint and cross stitch, and it has a fair number of cross stitch patterns, but what it does have is a ton of thread. All kinds of threads. I mean, it has every anchor, every DMC, and then a lot of the specialty threads. So today I am hoping to go over there and find my ruby red slipper thread. And then I have to get some thread for a quilting project I'm working on. I'm trying to whip stitch some circles down for a Sue Spargo class I have next month, and I have 4 more circles to do, and no thread that goes with the circles. And the whip stitch on that project is supposed to be somewhat invisible, so you kind of want it to match the wool. Yeah. Yesterday they had bluegrass music by the pool, and so we went over with a bunch of friends and listened to the bluegrass music, and I'm so pleasantly surprised that this year they're offering some food items that fit our dietary needs. So we were able to eat dinner there, which was great. As you can see, I'm stitching in hand. I have one project that is on a Q-snap, and that is my birthday start. I kind of wish I had a hoop for that 40 count sleeping bee, but I didn't bring all those hoops with me, and so I've been doing okay stitching in hand on that 40 count. I like the flexibility And I think because I have in the past, in my quilting life, I did some hand quilting. I do a lot of wool applique and regular cotton applique, that I know the tension of the thread, so I don't pull real tight, and so I'm not finding that I need that I need the hoops or the Q-snaps. What it helps with, though, is on some of the linen is so floppy and, that it kind of keeps the grid a little bit straighter, and that does help. But for this, what is this on? This is a 28 count blue spruce casual linen. And this grid, this is a very, I really like this. And that's what I miss about Acorns and Threads too, is that I can ask Jolynn, can you just edge this for me? And they've got a serger there, and they just, so you don't lose your edge, because I don't think I brought my zigzag foot. In fact, I know I didn't. And so I went out yesterday with G to Walmart, and I got some masking tape, and there's a couple of projects that I'm going to put masking tape on the edge of my project, because I can tell it's going to start raveling and it's freaking me out. On this particular moon, I'm just kind of going across and then coming back with the X. It doesn't make it difficult. And it was 38 degrees here this morning. Yeah. It's sunny, but it's cold. I was really hoping to be able to go over to Cave Creek this week, but with the van still not functional, there's just no way. I mean, it's functional. It just stinks to high heaven when the heat comes up in the day, because the flapper valve, okay, you can pause this and skip over this part if you're grossed out, but in the toilet bowl, the valve that opens and closes, the pedal broke that opens and closes that. So to make it functional until we get the parts in, they leave it open, which means that the odor comes out. Yeah, and so it's okay for short trips to the store, but to camp overnight in the heat, I don't think so. Neither of us is interested in doing that. So we're just kind of waiting. I really want to do that stitch along with stitching with the Sisterlies, the Suffrage Act. I missed a Suffrage Act. But I'm gonna wait until they're doing a sew-along for that with a hope to finish date before the November election. And stitching with the Sisterlies and Bendy Stitches, Michelle is doing it. And I know a bunch of other people are doing it also. But I would love to do that. But I think I'm gonna wait to not order that, because I have the whole the mail thing. So I think I'm hoping, I'm planning on going to the attic before Sue Spargo's class. I'm meeting, friends are flying out from Minnesota to Sue Spargo's class, and then we're going to travel to Cave Creek and stay with a friend in Cave Creek, and then go to the attic while we're there before our class starts. And maybe she'll have it there, and then I can pick the linen out, and hopefully they don't make you buy a yard of linen. I'm hoping. Okay, so now I get to move on to the next thread. Let's see. I have little scissors all over the place, but do you think I could have one right here? I must have moved them. Here's a pair over here on the couch. So G and I last night, we watched Goonies. Remember that movie? Goonies. Hey you guys! Baby Ruth! Ruth! Yeah, that was kind of nostalgic. My kids loved that movie, and so we loved it too, and it was so interesting to see those actors when they were just kids. I have a friend who is having surgery, had surgery I should say, in Germany. Yeah, makes you wonder about our healthcare system. Yeah, it was better for her to go to Germany to have a fusion than have it here. Ugh. But she had a successful surgery and is out, and I am happy to hear about that. So I'm liking when I do 2 threads over 2, I take one big long thread and fold it in half and thread it through the eye of the needle so that I can just catch the loop in the back as my first knot. It makes me feel like a professional cross stitcher. I'm kind of happy that the holidays were so enjoyable for a lot of people, and that the Floss Tube people that I watch are back on the bandwagon, because you know, we all a lot of us took a break, and you don't realize that. It reminded me of when I used to watch TV shows and then you had to watch the reruns during the Christmas season, because the networks took a break for new shows. I used to hate that. So now they're all back with their hopes and dreams, and you know, the regulars that I watch are slowly coming back on, which is nice. And if you watch on Instagram, the hashtags for the sew-alongs, it's interesting to see how people are keeping up or what they change. You know, this is the thing, is that I mean, here I am. I've got a upside down Santa with the... maybe I need to rip him out during a happy hour when I'm having a drink. Yeah. But to see how they'll switch it up, I'm barely getting comfortable with that concept. Is you know, of switching it up, and I mean, here I am, I'm changing the silver shoes on Dorothy to red. Duh, no big shake there. But I look at Stitch Goes My Heart, and she like she'll like change a whole chart worth of you know, of threads, and I couldn't even begin to know how to do that. So I bet you G went out hiking on after he got his oil changed. Such a beautiful day for it. I got a little knot here. I'm not quite sure. I wonder how you get these little tiny knots in the thread. See, I'm slowly, and then his nose will pop a little bit more. His nose will pop a little bit more. I went in the wrong hole. See how every so often you might see me stitching like this with my tongue out. Yeah. A professional stitcher needs their tongue as an anchor for which way the X goes. Yeah, that way. So, well, I know that this is going to drag on, so I'm going to let you all go, and I will keep on keeping on. And I'll let you know how this goes when I get it all done. And I'll keep you posted about when I decide to rip out Santa. I mean, really, it's such a... I mean, I don't know, maybe he's going around the world. But 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so maybe part of it, the reason I'm leaving it is because it's a lesson for me not to be so cheap with the linen, you know, because I see people stitching and it's like their thing is in the center of this huge thing, and I'm like, why don't they put it off to one corner so they could use this piece for this and this piece for this? Yeah. But it's a lesson learned, because I can see myself doing this one again. This is so sweet that I can see myself doing it again. So thank you. Thank you for hanging with me. For those of you that hung all the way to the end, I will, in a future date, take you with me into the attic. And then we'll just keep stitching along. And hopefully I'll get something done here before February 1st, which for me, well, you know, I'm trying to think, I think I've adjusted that. You know, I said I was going to start a new thing every month, and I still am going to do that. But what I'm going to do is, my Frosty Forest is actually 9 different patterns, and so I'm going to work on getting the Frosty Forest patterns done and starting a new one every first, and so maybe I could conceivably get that as a new start every month and get that done this year. That would be great. My trees, love my trees, but let me tell you, when you get done with one of those confetti trees, you really do need a break because it's just so much, and all with the white thread. So it's nice to do that. Yeah, so that's what I think I'm going to do. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. I hope you get some stitching in. I'll be back, and I appreciate everyone coming by and hanging out with me. I really do love the company.